acetylcholine is a ligand. It's one of the major ones that we have. It is a neurotransmitter that we usually think of as exciting or excitatory. You probably don't think it's exciting. When it comes to acetylcholine, it is an ionic type. It binds with an ionic type of receptor. Okay. How do I know it's ionic? Because it says it right here. Okay. Ionic receptors open ion channels. So acetylcholine is an ionic type of thing. It's a neurotransmitter that directly opens ion channels when it binds to it. Sodium. Okay. In some cases, it is both. It is both excitatory and inhibitory. Okay. When we think of excitatory, we think of this. What is a somatic motor neuron going to? Anybody?
Skeletal muscle.
Skeletal muscle. Fantastic. Okay. So yeah, it's always excitatory. And in some regions of the brain, of the CNS, it is excitatory. In some autonomic motor neurons, it's excitatory. Okay. So we'll see this phenomena again when we talk about the autonomic nervous system. Okay. Sometimes acetylcholine can be inhibitory. All right. So that should immediately tell you, if you're seeing that, then you should immediately jump to the conclusion that, okay, if acetylcholine is the key to open up these ion channels, then the keyhole must be different. Okay? The keyhole must be different. And it is. Before the time of the fob, you had a key. Okay? And that key, acetylcholine, if I put it into the steering column and turned the sucker on. Take that out, put that into my glove compartment, it'll lock and open that. It didn't start the car, but for that lock, it opened up the glove box. Take that same dang key and I could take it to the back end. I can open up a trunk with it. Didn't start the car. Okay. So even though that key can do many different things, it's what it docks with. What's the lock? And with acetylcholine, we see that phenomena right here. Excitatory and inhibitory. Okay. So if we're looking here, excuse me, here are my two keyholes, my two receptors. Okay, I have nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. ACH is just shorthand for acetylcholine. Okay, I have it up there. And I have muscarinic. Muscarinic is a different type of receptor. They're named because of the chemical that stimulates them, nicotine, and muscarine is just from a poisonous mushroom. Okay? So that's how they kind of, I guess, studied these and gave them their names from that. All right. So these nicotinic receptors, and we would have done a study to kind of show this in class. We wouldn't expose you to nicotine, although that would have been interesting. But we have these crazy, like, little microscopic, like, shellfish type of things, and you could drop a little thing of nicotine in them, and you can see their heart, through their plate. And you can see it going. All of a sudden, it's like this, and then you do a little drop of nicotine, and say, it goes like 1,000 miles a minute. Okay, so you can see what nicotine does. So it's pretty interesting, but always when it comes to these things, and there are different types of nicotinic receptors. They call them N1 and N2. N1 is generally the one that we think of with when we think of what am I trying to take? Skeletal muscles. Okay, so that's the one that we generally think of when that comes to that. N2 is generally autonomic nervous system. I'll just put A and S. Okay. So, that could be sympathetic ganglion, parasympathetic ganglion, the adrenal gland. So, that's where that one will go to. So again, we can target specific receptors with medication. Okay. Let's see here. There's 5 of these. I'm going to do this. M1 and 3 and M5. Excite. M2 and M4. There's 5 of these dudes. Inhibit. Inhib. H-I-B. Inhibit. We see a lot of these within the brain. You see both M4 and M5 within the brain. You see M1 within the brain, and you see M1 within the stomach. You see M2 within the smooth muscle of the digestive tract. You see M3 within the smooth muscle of the digestive tract. So you can see here with muscarinic, it can be both excitatory and inhibitory. When it comes to nicotinic, they're typically excitatory. Right? So when it comes to acetylcholine, depending upon the receptor it docks with, nicotinic or muscarinic. Okay? If it's a nicotinic receptor that acetylcholine docks with, then it's generally excitatory in nature. And we have a couple different types. Muscarinic, it can be both excitatory and inhibitory. And we have a lot of digestive system and we have a lot of brain. So you can see now why medication to affect mood in your brain, how that can affect the digestive tract and stimulate it, which is going to stimulate you to eat. Okay? Because it's going to excite in one region, it's going to inhibit in another region. So that's why when you treat, cognitive things, that's why you get a lot of crazy, various different symptoms and whatnot with it. Because the same acetylcholine molecule that you're trying to manipulate in the brain, well, you can't just keep it isolated. So it's going to get to other receptors as well, and it can stimulate those, and it'll actually inhibit other regions. So if we inhibit the ones in the brain to decrease some of the mood issues, then that actually turns on a lot of the digestive tract. So it can be very weird. And that's why, it's very difficult sometimes when you're treating certain conditions in an individual. All right. So again, we can excite, we can inhibit. So acetylcholine can go and dock with the heart and it actually inhibits. We can have acetylcholine and go and dock with a receptor there in the smooth muscle and turn it on. All right. So this is why we get such a varied response within that autonomic nervous system, because it just depends on the type of receptor, nicotinic or muscarinic, when it comes to the response. Everybody still with me?